Look, they said that I couldn't do it, so I went and did it. W's only, you know I've been winning. Top of the world, the globe is spinning. If you know, you know, I've been on a mission. Go. Okay, let's get it. Got a little time on my hands like a wristwatch. I don't got time for the breaks and the pit stop. Race through the gridlock.
All right, what's going on, everybody? I am the one, the only, the WOOKIE. I have a new cast of misfits here. 5 of them. One you might recognize, weirdly enough. But first off, I want to kind of go over this. Obviously, this is going on the Archons Corner channel. This is going to be Altered Corner for the foreseeable future. Keyforge is not going away as the Archons Corner focus, but I feel like every Tuesday, maybe we bring an old friend back in and we do what he's doing now. So, Z, what are you doing now?
Well, hey guys, I am now playing Altered. It is a brand new card game. Today is going to be our first podcast with our new Misfits. We might actually have another one join us next week that some of the Keyforge folks will recognize. He's a young gun, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But yeah, I am full on board into Altered. I had initially got into it as an investment, but I just love the game. The gameplay is actually really much more engaging than I had planned on it or thought it initially would be. So yeah, we'll be talking about some of that as we go along. But yeah, we've got some other folks here with me.
So with that being said,
next?
we'll go through our brand new set of misfits. One you might recognize, the noble one, Mr. Zach.
Hey.
We have Ogre.
Hey, how's it going?
And we have Cole.
Hello, everybody.
So we will have hopefully a new misfit next week. We always like joining misfits to the misfit army. And Z, kind of go over how you want to run this on a week-to-week basis.
So on our weekly structure, of course, we're going to have some other stuff come up, especially there was like an AMA recently that was launched today, so we will talk about that next week in addition to our weekly cadence. But each week we're going to have a unique of the week. One of the big things about the Altered card game is it doesn't have unique decks that a lot of audiences are familiar with right here, but it has unique cards. So there are cards that are printed one in every 8 packs or so that no one else will ever own that card. So obviously there could be spikes, but there can be spikes up and down. So each week we're going to feature a special card that caught our eye for whatever reason. And Ogre is going to kind of take on leading that segment. He won't always be the one that found the card, but I think everyone will enjoy his reactions to the cards because we all have in the local server about our Keyforge server. I mean, our Altered server here. And then
habits die hard, huh?
Yeah, they do. I mean,
it's stuck with them.
How many casts we do? Like what? 200, 300?
Only 5 years worth. Not a big deal.
Yeah, a lot. And then there will be a deck construction segment. We're all going to pipe in on that because we're each going to have different things that we are kind of attuned to or searching for. I will be leading that segment. The segment that is, we'll all kind of talk about competitive talk. There's a Why I Suck at Altered segment that will be led by our Misfit that will be joining us next week. And then we'll always cover the events for recent and upcoming. Cole is our local event runner for the Altered Texas Discord that we have over here. So he'll be talking about those, but not just the ones on our server, the ones that are happening in real life and all around the world as well, as far as like the actual physical play too. I think I left one off of our list. We're also going to have a meta liner. That's going to be the person that's talking about like the prime meta deck. And Zach is my new front runner for Altered. He has been crushing it. So he will have his own little segment about playing the top meta deck and like things that he's learned, the lines he's played, and kind of matchups to look out for. It's a constructed game, so there's always going to be a meta deck. So Zach might be shifting from time to time to whatever that deck is, but he will be this is what the meta is, and this is what you're going to have to come at if you're going to try to beat it. As he's crushing souls out there. And that's generally going to be our weekly structure with extra tidbits added in based on what's going on in the world of Altered, as it's brand new. It's only been around a month.
All right, and with that being said, is it time to go to Ogre with the unique of the week? That flows real nice, by the way. Unique of the week.
I do. It was soothing to my ears.
Feels nice. Okay, so what we're going to be kind of obviously this is our first time, so we've got a lot to learn in terms of like what we'll be looking at in the future. But I do want to set a few standards in terms of how I react to these. I'll do my best not to get.
Just go for it. How do you react to this? First, read the card.
Okay, so today we're looking at Quetzalcoatl out of Ortis, and anybody that's played into Ortis recently knows Ketz is pretty good just on its own. This guy is going to cost you 5 from hand, 6 from reserve, so a little bit more expensive than regular. 3/2/2 stats, not great, but he's a bureaucrat. You're not expecting big numbers here. Where it gets really and truly ridiculous is the ability text. When an opponent draws 1 or more cards or does resupply, create 2 Ortis recruits in my expedition. Okay, this is.
Wait, did
this
you
is
just
what we're
say
used to.
2?
I did, in fact, say 2. Now, that effect in and of itself, listen, we've seen these uniques before. They're out there. You know you're going to get hit with soldiers. It is what it is, right? Like, you're prepared to deal with that.
But that's double value already, right? That's twice as good as every other Quetz in the game.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. Now,
Okay.
you can play around it. Like, you can try to limit how many times you're going to draw or resupply outside of the normal start of turn things.
Yes, you can hamper yourself. Yep.
I was gonna say, you just crippled yourself just by trying to play around this card.
Sometimes that's what you got to do, right? With these ridiculous blue uniques. But then, dusk,
there's more.
Draw 3 cards. Everybody take just a moment. Just a moment and take this in. 3 cards. Now, at the start of every turn, you get to draw 2 cards, and then you may add one of those cards into your mana so that you can actually play the game, right?
Yes.
So at most, you're probably by default gaining 1 additional card to spend during your turn. You've got your stuff in reserve, you've got whatever. This card says, at dusk, which is at the end of your turn, draw 3 cards. Why is that important? Well, it's 3 cards, first of all, in a faction that would just love to beat you up with various options and bureaucrats that they can throw at you. It gives you those cards right at the end of your turn going into your next one, so you have additional choices in terms of when you draw those 2 cards, what am I going to put into mana? Like, what am I prioritizing turn to turn? At dusk, typically, like, you're going to see some other like sabotage effects that are occurring then. So you're getting this reactionary time period to sort of like set yourself up for the next turn. Is it as good as like at noon draw 3 cards? Probably not. But
I think it's better.
You think? I don't know if I'm with C on that.
Let's break down the dusk part of this, because if this is a bureaucrat and this was firing at noon, that means it's going to happen one time per time you play it. Now, the bureaucrats work. The most of us experience playing a warrior that has played Altered. For anyone that hasn't played Altered yet, like, it's a hero that allows their people to go to sleep, which means that it is going to be on the board for 2 dusks. So this one play of 5 mana, which is mid game, allows you to draw 6 cards. And like, the main thing I wanted to say here is, if you're newer to Altered, or even if you've been playing Altered for since the release back in September or early September, like, card draw in this game is more valuable than any other TCG I've actually played, because of the way the mana thing works. And you just often, like, you just run out of cards quite often in certain factions. It is definitely more than double as value of a card draw in Keyforge. I didn't play Pokemon that long, but it is. So I'm not. I don't even remember how many cards you drew.
Pokemon, there's so many cards that allow you to flip through your stuff.
Yeah, they could search for stuff too. Like, I feel like the card draw here is probably 50 to 75% more important than Magic. I did play that a bit. Card draw was important there. But like, overall, drawing 3 cards is vastly more valuable than basically anything I've seen in this game. Like, there are ways to actually increase your mana pool that I think are way worse than this 3 cards. Like, I will take 3 cards over a mana any day, any game.
We can put this in a very simple perspective, honestly, because as we discuss it, Z's convincing me to hate it more than I did before. So
it's 12 cards.
In purple, we have a very simple card called Magical Training.
Yep.
It's going to let you spend 1 mana to draw a card, and then it's going to go to your reserve where you can spend 2 mana, or is it 3?
3 for the common. Yeah.
3. So a total cost of 4 mana spent will get you 2 cards drawn, right?
And that's generally the ratio across the game. If you look at any card in the game that has a draw effect, it normally has like crappy stats, costs 2 more for a draw of 1.
Yeah, you get some outliers, right? Like you've got your Babas and you've got some other things that are going to get it for you at a discount. But that's the thing that they're good at. This one is going to give you 3 cards, which is, again, we priced 2 cards drawn at 4 mana, right?
Yeah.
So let's just take that 4 out of his cost, right? And you're only paying that cost once, and then you're sleeping him and getting him 2 turns, right? So let's assume you pay that 5. You've effectively spent 1 for 3/2/2 stats, which is still way above rate. It's great. And none of that is taken into consideration the other passive ability that's sitting on it.
That is better than the original.
So, all in all,
yeah.
Ogre Stampa busted right there. This is our inaugural totally bogus unique that somebody managed to find and put in a deck. Good for that person, whoever owns this. I'm not sure which player this belonged to. Pluka, great card.
We'll talk about later. Yeah, he would not sell it to me.
It's gonna be some 12-year-old that's gonna put it in their Nike shoebox, right?
Like, this one's absolutely out there haunting people. This is a live grenade.
Yes, it is very live.
That is the what do we call it? That's like the mantra in Keyforge. Like the most busted decks are in like somebody's shoebox that like is now in their attic, and they just have them all. But this one's wrecking tournament stats, huh?
For sure. We'll talk about soon. But yeah, if you actually use the math we just applied to this, so based on his reduction in power and its increased ability, that should have been a 4/5 cost at 3/2/2 with the extra token. Then if you factor in the 3 cards, not ignoring Bureaucrat, just once, he should have actually costed 10/11. Like mathematically, it should have costed you 10 mana and then 11 mana to match the cost of the factions that actually draw well.
Yeah. And let's be honest, like obviously we're discounting a few, like there's a bunch of factors, right? Like many things matter in this game as in all games. And while we are somewhat presenting like a magical Christmas land take on the value you're going to get from this card, because the reality is like you could pay 5 and then somebody's going to spend 3 and remove it. Like that's going to happen regularly enough. But when it doesn't, this thing is going to overperform to a degree that is just absurd if you look at some of the other uniques that are out there and are like the ones that you're frequently going to see in the pool. Like this is one of those like golden geese that's going to make Pluka lots and lots of tournament points.
2 days before that tournament, I lost to him. He played Meadow turn 1, and on turn 2, he played it. I immediately went to concede, and it wouldn't let me. It gave me the warning, it's too early to concede this game.
And that's it. I think that's sort of what we'll do, right?
I want to kind of recap this for people who are like listening beyond, right? Because like we are going to get some Keyforgers in here. So the heroes. So in the beginning of every game, you have a hero and a companion, right? And your ultimate goal is to get them to meet on a board, right? You can do some more research beyond that. But the big thing in all of this, and I kind of lost where I was going with this. That's kind of your big thing, right? Is you're trying to get your characters, your hero, and you're reuniting them, right? I guess is the way that
you're exploring a new territory. You're meeting at the middle to compare notes or something.
Yeah, there's some really deep lore. Like
I'm looking at the lore right now, and this is more lore than I've gotten in a while.
There's a lot.
So I mean, the world building seems.
There's like
awesome.
100-something characters, and every character has their own story or something. There's a lot.
So on top of that, There is going to be, so there's like kind of your standard cards, right? Everybody can get these. They're just kind of your standard cards, and then there's unique. So what we're talking about here is the unique being there is one of one in the world for this card, correct?
Yep. Yes. This card will never be printed.
Okay.
Again.
And then on top of that, I haven't done a ton of research. My altered research is a little waning at the current time. I personally am getting ready for Keyforge Worlds, so I haven't gotten a ton of time to go out there and do much. But heroes will, if from what I understood or from the brief notes I've been reading, certain heroes will no longer see play. Am I correct? Like they're going to get points and then they'll be retired, similar to Flesh and Blood.
Oh,
I don't think we have any like firm idea of how they're going to approach. I guess we would call it a rotation. Like I haven't seen them discuss anything.
No, I have not either.
In terms of like,
it's been out for a month, so you know.
Well, they don't even plan on starting OP until like a real official OP until what call was it? January next year.
So for competitive, they've just always kind of said 2025. I don't think there's a hard target yet. And for retiring heroes, I would say just based on the news that no new heroes will come out until set 4, I don't think they'll retire heroes. I don't even think, honestly, any heroes will be changed at all. Maybe certain cards, but
yeah, we'll see. I think it's very new in the game's lifespan, right? Like we're just now sort of starting to sink our teeth into the first 18.
Yeah.
And
I think there's 3 per faction, if I'm correct on that one.
3 per faction, exactly. And they're doing a lot of learning right along with us, right? Like this is their first card game. They've got some industry vets on their design team and on their marketing team, and they've definitely got some like resources they're tapping that other first time card game creators didn't have access to. But I think that they're going to have to see how we all respond to the game that they're giving us, because it's a little bit different than a lot of what people have played before they start making decisions and committing.
And it's a very strange card game, right? Like this isn't
very strange.
By strange, I mean it's not typical, right? Like this is, again, much like Keyforge. I hate that that's where my background is right now. It's a race, right? It's not necessarily, you're not attacking your opponent. This is about moving pieces as opposed to dealing life point damage, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I'm looking at some of the cards because I bought at Gen Con, which I was at this year. I bought the girl who flips coins or rolls dice,
Navenka.
Sure.
Yep.
She isn't even open out of her plastic yet because my group hates new things because we're all old men and change bad. So it is what it is. But one day I'll get out in the open and play this stuff. I remember playing with Domino, who is another Keyforge friend, who opened me up to it, and I'm like, I don't know if she's actually good or not, but like I get the feeling she's gonna ruin somebody's day at like a large tournament one day. Like, because like
probably the person playing her, she's gonna ruin the owner's day.
It's possible, but like you're gonna have that guy who like has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on this deck, right? And he's
on the Waru deck,
and he's going, and like all the rolls just come out hot, and it's gonna be a bad day. I don't know. That's probably that. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong on that one.
I will never play that hero. I actually am really bad at their names, like the hero names. I know actually a lot of the cards. I know most of the cards in the game, but the hero names I suck at. So I know them by their ability. I call that hero Snake Eyes.
Snake Eyes?
That's my name for her.
Navenka is a hell of a leader if you roll high, though.
I was going to say, if you roll well, like, she is an RNG engine, and I just know, like, one day it's going to be like all my luck goes into ruining someone's day. And that kind of brings a smile to my face.
Really well, actually. If you can get the permanent on board and online early by like turn 1, turn 2, the rest of the game you get to pick and choose your bonuses all game long. So it's great. Like when I need to anchor something, I can make sure I get it anchored. When I need to boost something, I make sure I get it boosted. That permanent, the Bastion, the Lyra Bastion, that thing makes the world of a difference, and it makes her so consistent.
The other one I'm now looking at, I now want to find whoever Fen and Crowbar are.
Join the Crowbar squad.
Nothing's more cool. I'm guessing Crowbar is the pumpkin guitarist. Maybe he's a bassist.
That one.
That could be a bass. That's kind of just cool. I'm probably going to be the perpetual noob to this game because I'm probably going to play it more casual than anything else because that's just where we're at right now. Maybe one day we'll sink in. Maybe we'll have something in Chicago and me and Z can meet up once again.
For sure.
It does play very nice casually if that is the shtick that you want to stick on. Like,
and rolling dice to me, nothing is better than being able to hit on a little luck. You know what I mean? Just to make somebody cry. But that's be it. That's okay. So we've kind of gotten that overview. I feel like we should have done that first. But it's all good.
I do want to introduce another misfit that just joined us. This is Material. He is the owner of the server here, and thanks for all of the support he's shown. And one of the another local to Texas, actually. So
I feel like you guys have a lot of locals in Texas.
We play cards down here, bro.
I need to move to Texas because
I've been saying it.
not only do you guys have all the card shops, on top of that, like you guys start your Bucky managers at like $100,000, which I'm a store manager now, knowing that like somebody in Bucky's that like runs the meat department is making like
the guy that sits outside at the car wash that just is their car wash manager, which is literally just sitting there all day, makes 98.
Yeah.
He doesn't do anything. He just sits there.
Texas, here I come.
But before you get too excited, I do want to let you know that the rest of us that don't work at Buc-ee's are not making that kind of money. So don't.
But stall on that. Like I work in education. I do not make that.
I'm just like, is Buc-ee's like a tough place to get into?
No, actually.
They're always hiring. They are literally always hiring. Yeah.
They have their own management program and everything. So yeah, you probably, if you really wanted to be a Buc-ee's manager, you could probably be one in 5 years.
For how old am I now? Like 15 years or something like that. I've been a manager. I think I got the XP, and I run a pawn store in the hood. I think I got this.
Yeah, they're opening the world's largest one soon.
Yeah. Maybe Z. I'm moving next door. You can
let's go. Like
you can hear me.
I'm about to have a new house. I can put you up for a little bit.
Actually, you can hear me snore from a whole house away.
No, never mind. I forgot about that. No, you can sleep outside in the neighbor's yard.
I still think you'll hear him outside though.
Yeah,
more than likely. I mean,
I'll get you a van down by the river.
Let's put it this way: for Keyforge this year, when we go to Minnesota, we had to buy a suite so we could have 2 rooms.
I heard.
So the really interesting thing, Wookie, that you said is you played Altered at Gen Con and you picked up a starter deck.
I did not play it at Gen Con. I got exposed to it on Tabletop Simulator from one of our mutual friends here. His name is Domino. He might be in the server. I have no idea.
I was gonna say there's a chance that we met and you haven't known it until now.
I tried to get into one of their like pre-releases. I don't really know what they were calling them. And every time, whatever they were calling them, I tried, and I couldn't, like, for whatever reason. Every time I was like, all right, I picked this one, it was like sold out immediately. So between
the road shows had usually just one person running it at a store, so it had a 16 player limit. I want to say. I could pull up my documentation, but it's not
I forget
that important.
The majority was 16 person, except for like maybe Gamers Guild AZ, where Gamers Guild they had like 32 and 64. That's just because they had tons of product and they had tons of staff.
Yeah, after a while, I'm like, can I just buy a starter since I can't get in and they let me? So I bought that starter because I greatly enjoyed it when I played it online. And I thought it was the most fun. It's probably not. I know it's not the most competitive. Anything involving dice is never the most competitive. But I thought it was the most fun out of the ones I played.
Hey, that's like the key factor in enjoying and sticking with a game. So, competitive or not, give it time. Like, people are out there wanting to roll dice. Eventually, she'll get her time in the spotlight.
One
I
day.
do think
I'm
so.
curious though about what's going to happen with the meta after the major French tournament next week or this
Yeah.
coming weekend, because they have 1,024 players signed up.
Yeah, it's
And-
1,024 max
Yeah.
max event.
That's
It's gonna be
sold
insane.
out.
Yep, the
You want to know the?
Ludo Trotter. I have the information up for later.
I
Z's
promise.
actually super kind. He's flying us all to France so that we can participate, right, Z?
Maybe one day. Not today. But it's not a no.
Hey, he didn't say no. That's right. He
yeah.
didn't say no.
Yeah.
All right.
just gotta
Shall we
get a
move? Shall we move
PGAC.
on to Meta Lions with Mr. Zach? Mr.
Zach,
Zach.
that's you.
We're not talking about meta lines this week, though, right? Like specifically.
You're talking about the. Tell us about your events this week. What'd you do?
All right. So Cole put on a Altered Texas for the Altered Texas server event on BGA. The BGA platform for running Altered is pretty flawless. Like they've done a very good job porting it in there, and everything seems to be running really well. They had another software before that was privately done, but it wasn't allowing people to import their uniques, which is a very important part of the game. If you gathered any of that from Ogre's conversation. So in that event, I did play probably the one of the meta decks with the hero Waru and Mac. No, not terribly surprising. I did top place with that because of the deck itself. I did end up placing first with that. The second place deck was also a Waru and Mac. And I don't remember if I don't remember third, fourth. Cole, do you have that?
Who was in second place?
Cows Tippin.
Yeah.
One of our Dallas area people in the server.
Yeah, so we did a season 0 to test out the tournament software, and it probably would have been good if I collected more data.
Software. I'm sorry. I'm just.
And it worked, Wookie. It worked perfectly. Again, I'm not gonna bash on some other company now.
This worked really well, but this was through BGA though.
Yeah,
this was
well,
through
but
BGA.
they had to integrate through their system.
Sure.
Like none of this works unless what is the altered company? It's sort of the
Equinox.
Like Equinox had to put there is nothing on BGA like this right now. So Equinox did have to do a lot of working with their server people.
Should we take just a moment to explain it? I think we've beat around the bush a little bit about what they've done, but the core of it is like BGA on its own. Board Game Arena is a website that you can go to, and they offer pretty well scripted tutorials for a lot of board games, but also just the ability to play both in real time and asynchronously with people everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Not every board game in the world obviously is supported, but quite a few are, and it's pretty well built. The Altered iteration of the platform, they actually partnered. Yeah, they partnered directly with the people that own it, and there's full collection integration. So all of us have scanned our cards; they exist in our digital collection. All we have to do is log in to BGA, go to the Altered game, and when we fire a round of the game up, we say, okay, find me an opponent. There's a ranked mode, there's a casual mode, there's preferences in terms of how long you want to give each person to play. There's so many things you can do, and then it just asks, hey, you've got these 6 decks built in your collection. Which of them do you want to use? Brings it all over. We don't have to do anything beyond that, right? Just sign in.
Yeah.
It's great.
And right now, this very minute, and at all times I've ever checked, it's around this number. There are 1,432 active games, meaning there are 2,864 people playing Altered in this competitive match system as I'm speaking right now. This other game that we occasionally might mention, the highest I think I've ever seen in that thing was 40, 50. There are a lot of people freaking playing this game right now. Like a ton.
Yeah, I will say it has a little bit of everything for everybody, especially because it's on BGA, it'll attract the board gamers, but because it's made by a European company, I'm kind of I'm a big fan of Regis because with Equinox, this is his second company. He created like Dixit and Mysterium, which are really fun, like outlandish board games.
Great
And
games.
so, yeah, they're great games. Like if you
Yeah.
haven't played them, I suggest you try them because it carries over a lot of the art and the style and like gameplay wise that Altered is kind of known for now. And so Asmodee Games obviously saw a huge potential there. So as we've talked about before, BGA is owned by Asmodee Games, but with the openness of the of I guess information out there, they do partially own Equinox now. And so they have much more incentive to make sure that it is published well, produced well, and distributed well as like performing on VGA to get the name out there. And I've said this to a lot of people, like they didn't have to do Kickstarter, they didn't have to do BGA because they had the backing from the world's largest publisher and distributor already. Asmodee Games is over $5 billion in assets. They didn't need any of that. And yet, to develop something so robust for us as the players, both competitively and casually on BGA and other sources, is tremendous in what they've done so far in just such a short amount of time. I mean, think about it. This ended in March for us, and now we're in not even barely October, and we're playing all these things, and we're seeing thousands and thousands of matches every day. You know, so it's pretty amazing.
Because people were talking about this on the server at some point, and people were like, well, when is this going to happen? This is like, and I was like, y'all need to cool your jets. Like, honestly, if BGA had integration by November, I would have been super impressed and pleased. The fact that it came out this fast and it had so few glitches is amazing. Like, their computer, like, their software glitch response time has been outlandishly fast, in my opinion, because we just talked about the card Quetzalcoatl. 4 days ago, the trigger effect wasn't actually working in relation to two other heroes. It wasn't working for Fen, and it wasn't working for Turbo. And bug reports got reported that day, and in 24 hours, it was fixed. And it even said the day that it was happening, there was like a note in the game that said, "We are aware of this bug. We are working on it." And then the next day, it says, "We have fixed this." Blah 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 blah. Like right there on your load screen. I was just like, that is way overshare that devs normally don't need to do. Like, they just don't normally do any of that. You just kind of like see what gets fixed when you get hot fixes pushed.
Yeah. So as maybe a parent, we're as players, we're pretty fond of it. I didn't mean to derail you, Zach. I just thought maybe it would help to have a little bit of context in terms
absolutely.
of
No, I think it was well needed. But yeah, no, it absolutely the game it I have yet to run into a problem playing it on BGA. I think it runs fantastic. It gives you more of like as far as like the tumult or the exploration as your characters are advancing. It has like a nicer look to it. The cards flip over, like everything just kind of flows very nicely with the interactions with the game itself on the thing.
How did you feel about it? I feel like your perspective is a really good one to get on this because you actually played every round in the tournament. How did you feel about how it ran in terms of what was expected of you as a player and like how the I guess just how the general flow of that season 0 tournament went as a user?
So actually, I did not play in every single round because some of my opponents were
showed up.
I was there. I was there for every single round, but for two of them, my opponents did not show up. I think Cole at some point did open it up to, or people found it rather, on the altered, tournament
listings. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think match 1 and match 3, my player did not show up. But what was really nice about the system was that after 5 or 10 minutes, I think it was closer to 10, it declared me as winning and moved me on. As far as the games themselves, as soon as your opponent was done, you could fire right into that next game. That was it.
He was referring to it being a single elimination, and in some ways that we had in the past for some other event sites, like you'd have to wait for all of round 1 to finish. You did not have to do that the way BGA has it set up. If the person you're paired to is done, y'all got paired immediately. You started. It was really neat to see that.
And if you were done, you could go in and spectate a match that was still continuing, which was really cool because in the second tournament that I'm going to talk about, there was a lot of people that were watching the final match. But yeah, with the Texas Altered Season 0, I thought it ran very smoothly. For everyone learning, Cole said that I think this was the first one that he had set up. It ran very well. Couldn't be happier with the gameplay, the outcome, and the matchups and stuff. And the 15-minute Swiss chess timer, I thought that was nice in that too. So
big ups, Cole.
Good job.
So what's a typical tournament for Altered? Is it single limb? Is it Swiss?
Zach, talk about the next one.
So the other one that all 5 of us here that played in was the Altered Weekly Online League, or AWOL, which I really like the name. That one had a lot of people. I believe it was 86 total signed up. This one was people from all over the U.S., all over the world. I remember seeing some Canadian players, some Italian players, some French players in there, based off of their line on or their flag rather on their BGA profile. This tournament was ran with Swiss, and so this was you weren't single eliminated. You got to play multiple rounds, and it kind of did the pairing as any kind of Swiss matchups would. So if half the players won, they're going to be matched up. The losing players, they're going to be matched up, and so on and so forth. In this specific tournament, I did finish third. My only loss was to the second place player. Again, the top 4 decks in this one were Waru, Waru, Waru. Which, again, if you're not seeing already a connection with that is part of the Ortis faction. That is part of the faction that the Quetzalcoatl that Ogre was talking about earlier belongs to. It is a very powerful hero to play with.
Yeah.
It's very interesting to play because there's a lot of decision points where you have to make based off the hero ability and just what you're playing, but that goes with any of the factions, right? It's a lot of fun for me. I like it.
Yes, Zach likes to win.
No, it's more so that I like to, make people suffer that I play against. No, that's not it. One of the cards that I'm sure will come up is the Robin Hood card that either makes the characters or cards in general that your opponents play cost 1 more, with the Waru and Mac ability allowing your character to put them asleep means that ability is still in effect for not the round that they're played in, but also the next round when they actually awaken their stats count for the when you do the comparing statistics at the end. So with that, so the second place guy beat me. There was, playing a very similar deck, a little bit of a tweaks that I wasn't expecting, but that didn't really affect anything. The biggest thing was that he got out his discount card faster, and then his make my cards cost more expensive, like 1 turf faster on each of those. And it's hard to come back from that, as any of these other guys can attest to. And then the first place, Pluka, was the one with the broken Quetzalcoatl card that allowed him to potentially draw 12 cards over the life of the game. Potentially even more, too, if he's running another card, Sandman, to put him back to sleep.
He does.
Also was playing very, very well.
Yes.
Yeah, Pluka played very well. So back to what I was mentioning earlier with VGA and the software that they run, you can live watch any tournament or any game that's going on. It's very quick. It has all the brackets and stuff. You can kind of just go in and see what, if a game is live or not. You can go in there. And so, like, the last game with Pluka and Maddox faction, who was second place, it had like 10 spectators at the end, which was really cool to see, because like that was the match, right? Both those guys had won the entire way up, and that was the make or break. But yeah, a lot of fun.
So at the current time, what is the game plan for like an organized play for Altered? Is it up to the stores? Where are they headed with this?
They have like adventure points. Honestly, some of our customers probably know a lot more about that than me.
It's again, like, because official, like, the more competitive side of organized play, they've been saying for a long time now that they're not really going to be delving into that until 2025. right now, I think a lot of people are just kind of testing things out and seeing what feels right. Like we don't know if it's going to be single elim until you get to a top 16, and then maybe you go to double elim, or like
There-
Go ahead.
There is something that's super important that would be attractive to some people that have not yet decided to get into Altered. There are stores that can sign up for a store account, and Altered sends them an OP kit that doesn't have like a mat or baubles or whatever. If you play in an event, just for signing up for an event from the OP kit, you get an OP booster pack. It has 3 cards in it. One of the 3 cards is one of them is the special alt art token. And then one of the cards is guaranteed to either be a promo hero or a unique straight up.
Yeah,
So
the
you get
organized
that for
play
just showing up.
boosters, are very good. I've played twice at a local event and gotten a unique both times, so they're very good. The official stance for now, I think, is they want to let the stores decide how to run organized play and how to do any prizing or things like that.
But
They
they're
have their
giving them
recommendations, but
they are giving them something of value to
I'll
give
say
the
they're,
player.
they're giving them the tools, which is the important part, right? Like,
Mhm.
And one of the things that's without like going into, because anybody that's listening is going to want to do. Obviously, we're glossing over a lot of like the basics of how to play the game and the basics of how it's distributed and all these kinds of things. But Altered has some unique infrastructure in terms of your account and what you're going to be able to do with it in the future.
Mhm.
So Z mentioned very briefly these adventure points. This is a system where for just showing up, right? Like we've all played video games. We know what a battle pass looks like. Love it or hate it, like it's a way to reward you for going and doing the thing you were going to do already. With Altered, from around the world, right? Because this is a global thing. They can just get the numbers of people that are going in and participating in events, give you levels on this battle pass, whatever, and who knows what it's going to look like eventually. But for now, they can reward you directly into your account with the digital like promo cards
Products,
or anything really. And then once it's in your account, after print on demand gets released, that's a way to like more so than any other game. That's a very cost effective way to distribute prizing and like incentivize league play and in-store play that some games just don't have available to them by virtue of how the rest of the system works.
And our local that we play at just got approved as a print on demand delivery point last week. Like, so they're going to bulk ship print on demand orders to keep their costs down. Equinox will, and the store we play at will be where we pick the stuff up that we print on demand. It's pretty cool.
It's very exciting. Like the things that they'll be able to do with that. Like in any other game, like let's say that I wanted to maybe like a Halloween promotional card, right? If I want to get that into the hands of the players, I have to first of all pay the artist. I have to get that through printing and cutting and organizing and everything else that's going to get it ready to ship to people, which I then have to do. And then I've got to get that in the hands of people that are going to be able to give it to their players. It's a very long, very convoluted process, and we've all seen like how many problems that can pose a small company. They can do that first part where they get an artist to draw something like really gorgeous. They
Which
can put it
half
in
their staff
system,
are like art backgrounds. Like that's them.
right? And then they could just distribute it to us. And the next time that you place your order, oh, hey, I've got that Halloween promo that I got for going and doing that cool event at the store. Let me get a copy of that printed so that I can have it to play with, not just on BGA, but when I go down to my local shop as well. I obviously, like, we don't have details on what that's going to look like 2 years from now, but for me, anyways, the things that they could do with that are very, very exciting. So it'll be cool to see what they do with that in terms of tournament prizing and everything else as we go.
Yeah. But like the most competitive ones, the ones that are going to really grind out a ton of games, are going to be playing a ton of games on BGA. So like they'll get to see their promo, like you just said. If it's like a winter holiday one, they'll get to see their like Quetzalcoatl Santa Claus or whatever, if they decided to do something.
My biggest disappointment is I finally found this Quetzalcoatl, and I'm disappointed it's not a Quetzalcoatl.
What?
Yeah.
Do you know what a Quetzalcoatl is?
So
It is a real live creature. It looks like a tiny salamander.
I mean,
It's a dragon.
this is not a dragon. It doesn't have
What would you
wings.
call that?
So Altered is also based on myth and legend, so it's
Right.
also based off of like the legendary Quetzalcoatl, right?
Correct.
yeah,
From-
I think it's based on the Mesoamerican Quetzalcoatl.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
The feathered serpent deity, which it does say that it's a deity in the card. It's
Right.
a character
Yeah, yeah.
bureaucrat deity. So
I just wanted a tiny
And also,
lizard.
I think you might be thinking axolotl.
Maybe
And
I
don't
am.
worry, I've got one of those for you too. Meet me over in Axiom Land. We have them. We're ready to go.
I like rolling dice.
I did want to bring up 2 more things about the BGA tournament thing that we had.
All right.
And I don't want to step on Cole's. I know he's talking about the actual.
Yeah, he will
event and
be
stuff, but-
following you. Yep.
Yeah, but one of the nice things about BGA tournament software was that it does, as Cole pointed out to us on the Altered Texas server, was that it does allow us to kind of see the strength of schedule, or how they're basically ranking for final rankings within the system. And so it shows you, how many points you earn based on wins, how many games you played, skipped, opponents' points, and then your opponent's average ELO, which is their ranking system for arena play and on BGA. The second thing that I want to do was that somebody did break down the top decks, the ones that got 4 or more wins, and there were 27 people that did end up placing within that bracket. 55% of those top decks, the 4+ win decks, were Ortis, which is it's Sigismar, it's Woru, and Goreng. Now, Sigismar and Woru were both tied for about 7 apiece. Again, that is showing you where the meta is at, right? And that's how it's going to be. The next place was Lyra which I think is the one that you're talking about, Wookie, 14.8%. So it's a very strong distribution about where, 1, people think the meta is, and 2, where the meta truly is right now. And it is in Ortis, it is in Sigismar, and it is in Woru.
I think that was pretty much the case going in. People saw the starters. I don't think that competitive scene wise, the starters were a big deviation from that, except for minus Lyra, because Lyra, honestly, that was a terrible starter deck for
Yep.
anyone to start with. You will get stomped. That's just, the support was not there compared to the other decks that were very much pick up and play and ran smoothly for the most part, right? We're definitely going to see more of the control decks coming out to see how people tech in to go up against Sigismar and Waru, because now people are finding out Bravos can actually go up against Waru pretty well. If you're using Kojo and Buddha, they match up pretty well. We got a guy in our Discord. He's a buddy of mine, not a piece of meat. Like he went back to back against Waru's yesterday, and pretty much beat him almost every time, even on back to back Robin Hood drops. So we'll see where the meta shakes out in the next 2 weeks with big events around the corner. But I think we all touched on it a little bit with ELO rankings and all that. It's amazing that none of that is actually behind the paywall like some of the other board games that are on BGA.
Yeah.
So for the benefit of free to play and not wanting to spend like $3 a month or whatever on the premium, it's huge for players that just want to get on there, play some ranked games and things like that, or just play casually and see where they stack up and not have to pay for that kind of information. Seeing your deck breakdowns, your win breakdowns, your losses and percentages and all that stuff, like
especially with
all that
the instant deck connection, like the automatic load of your deck is amazing. Like you have to do 0 work. Like if you have it in your account, you already made a deck, it's there, period.
Not to mention editing on the fly, which I did 3 times before we started talking to my one deck.
Yep.
Edit it and then jump into a game.
Yeah,
that's
I
already
edit it from
carried
my
over.
phone, probably more than I should from work. But like it takes a lot to get there because I have to get off of the Wi-Fi and blah blah blah. But yeah, it still happens. You have that idea, it's like, well, maybe I should try this card, and then you want to put it in the deck. It's crazy. It's fun.
and you just hit the nail on the head right there, Z, with and Cole was editing decks on the fly, right? Like no other game allows you to play test this quickly and this fast with your actual collection rather than
Yeah.
like buying, oh, I need to buy this first so I can test it out, or I need to do this first before I can test it out. You can build on the fly and it immediately links like in a snap, and you have the ability now to test right before a tournament if you needed to, you know,
Yep.
and you'll find a game no matter what. It's pretty
Yes.
amazing.
1,500 people. Well, no, I'm sorry. 3,000 people, 1,500 games. They're just right now.
It's just climbing.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sure.
We're getting off work, man.
I've been playing Star Wars Unlimited, and there's a very good developer who's making a solo client, HoloNet. But even that, like Star Wars Unlimited is much further along, but they don't have a officially supported client, and I don't have anyone in my vicinity that wants to play it with, so I'm reliant on digital clients.
I mean,
So yeah, Altered's just already ahead of the game, and even Magic, like they're when I play Commander, I play on Tabletop Simulator with friends, and yeah, I can access any card, but it
there's
I
some
hate
work. Well,
yeah, I
yeah.
hate Tabletop
Yeah,
Simulator.
TTS sucks. Like just
Oh, now
Terrible.
I can't get on this bandwagon as a sometimes TTS developer, but
Listen, it's great,
if
but
you are
it's not
great
the
at
same.
scripting an environment, yes, there are some really great things that are scripted a lot in TTS. But if it's not that way, I will not play it. So if you're talking about the stuff that is like super scripted, those are fine.
The way that BGA works is just exactly what I need. Head
Yeah.
empty.
It is
Don't
beautiful.
have to care
Yeah.
about anything but trying to win.
It's even getting better with the pass triggers. Like that this week today, I didn't have to pass on something that was I had to click to pass on it like 3 or 4 days ago. It was something about like Tiny Jin. You had to like click to confirm, even that there was no choice. He had to go there because he was boosted. Today it was automatic. It didn't ask me anymore. So like they are working on it constantly.
I was gonna say there's one thing. There is one trigger that has come up that I don't like, and I think Dexter actually mentioned this the other day too, when it doesn't exactly tell you. It tells you what trigger you're doing, but if you have multiple of the same cards or multiple of the same effects, it's very difficult to tell which one's going to affect. In Dexter's case, I think it was 2 Toths, and he didn't know if the single recruit or the double recruit one was triggering at that moment. It tells you after the fact, I believe, but as far as like that first, like when you go to select it, it just says trigger this ability, Toth, and then it's like, oh yeah, then it's the second Toth or whatever, but. That
listen at these bureaucrat complainers. Oh, it's so hard to tell where my infinite free soldiers are going to come from and go.
Yeah,
Listen,
and it probably didn't even matter.
It didn't matter. No, in Dexter's case, he was like, "Oh, I guess I'm going to put them both on the same side, anyways." But
Exactly. Exactly. It doesn't matter. You're just winning. It's like I want to be winning by a little bit more.
I'm just kidding, Zach. We love you.
One other thing, it's all good. I'll take the hate. You got to play the top deck. You got to be up there. Even in the board game arena headlines, Altered is like the 3rd, 4th story down. Like a huge thing about it. So like they're covering it big too. Like putting it out there. It's one of the top new games. So it's great. Like a lot of exposure.
Yeah, I don't know who they are in connection to Equinox exactly, but I joined the alpha testers for Altered, and there's a separate Discord, and there's a couple of them in there that are Altered players and also working directly on the BGA instance, and they speak French and English, so there's like both sides there. So it's been super awesome to kind of see how well they've been working, as we kept saying. And for you, Zach, I got the top decks from the season 0 for Altered Texas. So first and second, Waru Waru, and then third was Siggy. and then fourth was actually a Tasia. So
Nice.
And that's pretty like we're learning to expect to see those names, right? Like
I'm gonna get Crowbar there. It's gonna happen. Let's go.
yeah, Fitted Crowbar are pretty good. I am not going to be surprised at all when we start seeing that name up in the headlines as well.
I'm
And it's
gonna
already
try.
kind of
I'm gonna
happening,
try.
right?
All right. I think what's next, Wookie? Who we got next?
We are up to event news with Cole.
amazing. All right. So in future instances of this segment, I'll probably get a little better on what's going around specifically in Texas. For now, I will say seek out the Altered Texas Discord. If you're in the main Altered Discord, it's in the community links. I believe if you Google Altered Texas Discord, you'll find it pretty easily. We have all of the local events pinned in each of the metros. But if you're only looking for online events or things coming up, there's a good amount. This Sunday, we're doing No Ordis Sunday, which I don't expect this to be out by then. So what I'll say about that is I like doing weird things. I think it's
I do
fun.
too.
Yeah, to do things that aren't the standard. So I am looking to do more of these things. This Sunday is obviously no Ordis allowed. I think it's really cool because it's going to show what other decks are like against each other. Right now, there's not enough people to play in it, so hopefully more people sign up. But in the future, maybe it'll be like only the least used heroes allowed or something. I think stuff like that is
all
interesting.
Atsadi all the time.
Yep. And I mean, if we go back to the AWOL tournament, someone broke down the stats further. It was Kislanka in the AWOL tournament. There were a Arak, Lindway, and Sierra decks. They were all below 4 wins. But hey, maybe a tournament using decks like that would be fun. We talked a little bit about big tournaments coming up and how that will shake up the meta or solidify it, really, which is what I think will happen. AWOL is back next Wednesday, which proves to be a big, maybe 100 people this next week. The Gamers Guild tournament in Phoenix is coming up. Do you guys know how many players are in that? It seems like they've been promoting it a lot, so I'm assuming it's not to their cap yet.
I think
No,
they
it's
had
not to their cap
capped
yet.
it. It was 128 or
128.
something.
Yeah, 128 is the cap, but I wasn't sure if there was anywhere we could see how many they have signed up. It's an in-person tournament. I know the organized play manager is going to be there, and the community manager for Altered are going to be there, and they have some great prizes. I don't think we know of anyone in Texas that is going because it's in Phoenix, right?
No, not going. No.
But
Bit of a
hopefully,
That's
yeah.
that's not drivable. Like that's not a thing.
Yep. So hopefully some good stats will come out about that. But the big one coming up, and I apologize if I get any details wrong because it's all in French, is Ludo Trotter, which from what I can see has 1,010 people signed up right now. Reports are saying 1024, but that is a huge amount of people, and the developers are even looking at that and seeing what happens when they consider maybe different things to change in the future.
I can't wait to see the results from that tournament, and I'm hoping we'll be able to see some live footage of play because not only is it a huge tournament, right? It's also the French meta, which because of that's where the game was developed and created.
Yep.
In a lot of ways, they're sort of a little bit ahead of us. Like they've had a little bit more time to play with these cards and to sort of get familiar with it than we have. So we may see some really exciting things out of there. Now, my personal stance, I still think we're going to see Ortis just all over it.
100%.
But
100%.
But
yeah,
I think there will also be some really cool things that come out of it.
Yeah, if you play early in the day on BGA, you're going up against French players, and 9 times out of 10, it's going to be Ortis.
Bunch of French bureaucrats.
Yep. So I highly expect the top 10 to all be Ortis, but maybe a Rin and Orchid will sneak in. Maybe something else. You never know.
1,024. I think the top 32 will be Waru. Not just Ortis.
I don't know.
Waru.
We'll see. The French have some like very good Fen and Crowbar
Unique,
players and some very good Teja players. Like I've seen them not.
It's still
I
just a
expected to see
numbers
Ramp
thing. It's like a
Dragon.
math
Yeah.
thing for me in my head. It's just like yes, my crowbar deck can beat Waru, but it's like real close to like 49% or something like that.
Not only is it that, I think there's a prize, and I think it's a big prize.
It's
So
a big prize. You're gonna
yeah.
see 400 people show up with Waru decks. It's gonna be a thing.
I want to touch on this tournament just a little bit because you bring it up, and we're getting into the details a little bit of it. So I'm not sure how many people were watching the AMA during Essen Spiel earlier.
Yeah.
But this French tournament and the GGAZ tournament that's coming up, Eric, who is the CMO, he's already stated that the design team is already working on the Ortis situation. Robin
It's
Hood
not even
will
necessarily
probably
Ortis.
see,
It's specifically Waru.
yeah,
Robin Hood.
and specifically Robin Hood. They've already said that Robin Hood will get hit in some way.
Probably.
He doesn't know what the design team is going to do yet, but they're waiting to see how the tournament shakes out, and they will hit Robin Hood in some way. Whether it's removing the bureaucrat label or not, we'll see what happens. But this will have kind of make waves after the next 2 weeks, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I was listening to it, and I think next. I mean, I don't know if I have the authority to tease, but I think next episode we're going to kind of dive more into the whole Robin Hood situation, right?
Yep. We're gonna go visit the hood.
I go there.
All right. So our next thing is so we talked about who we are briefly. We're all playing this game. I know Wookie is had been toe dipping.
Big Z, you're forgetting one thing though.
Oh well, what am I? Oh yes, I forgot.
I saved the best for last.
Yes, go. Like I'm really excited about this. Go ahead.
I'll split it with you since you're a big part of it as well.
Yep.
So the season 0 was a test. I don't know. Me personally, I like to test things. I like to work out, what is right, what is wrong ahead of time. Now season 1 is starting this Tuesday. Putting a date is probably better for recorded things. The 8th of October. It'll be great because if you're hearing it late, it's a jump in, jump out kind of seasonal thing. Texas Altered Showdown. We are going to have 4 weeks of single eliminations every Tuesday where you earn points, and we're going to have prizes as well. I kept a lot of the prizing a little more vague for the moment because I want to make sure we get everything collected and then we reveal like, hey, this is the full prize. But we are absolutely giving away some unique foilers and some other things, and I will let Big Z talk about what he foresees with that and kind of his perspective of how we're setting it up.
Oh, that's cool. That's the first time hearing about it. Let me know. I've got a few unique folders I wouldn't mind pitching in if you guys are just building a pot.
Awesome. Yeah. So we first of all, I didn't know if this was said. It is online best of one. We're capping it at I think 64 people just to keep the midweek since this is Tuesday at 6 p.m. Central for the states folks. It's not limited. The people from Europe and beyond can come, but it'll be like 1 a.m. for you. So I know some of you are playing Altered that time because I run into you in BGA still. So there will be 4 weeks where we do that single limb tournament. The pricing during the 4 weeks, first place will get a unique foiler and entry into the final tourney. Which will be week 5, and second place will get a rare foiler, and they will also be entered in the tourney. No matter what, you get 2 points for playing in any of the single elimination tournaments, and then you get 1 additional point per win. After 4 weeks, we will only have 8 people from the top 2 from the 4 weeks. And then the remaining 8 people for our invite only through winning these points or winning the events will come from the highest point accruers from the 4 weeks. And your seeding in the tournament will be based on the total number of points you've earned. So even if you did get an invite the first week, you could still come back and play some more the next week just to get a higher seed to potentially play against a lower pointed player when you get seeded into the tournament on week 5. And we are still working on what we're going to look like as far as the champion tournament. Right now, I have put some Kickstarter edition booster packs into the pot. And we're in talks. We'll see some others if anyone. The prizing pot could be potentially more. There is no entry fee for any of these events for this go round. We could potentially look at that in the future if we wanted to make some more interesting pricing down the road. But this one's all coming out of pocket and just giving something to the community, something to do. And we found the single elimination was super fast. I loved how the pace of it. It was fun talking to people in the chat. People that were eliminated were sticking around to just talk and spectate the people that had eliminated them, that kind of thing.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, it was fun. It reminded me of the Keyforge days, right? Like back when I was really big in the events, and there's just a lot of communal, jabs, funs they had, talk about decks, talk about how badly they got beat or rooting against or for people. It was good times, and we're gonna try to capture that weekly on Tuesdays.
Yes, and we are all over the age of 30, at least I believe. So all of you,
except for one that is not here today.
not here, yeah. So all of you young kids that are like, "Oh, I want a best of 3 on a Tuesday night at 6 p.m."
No,
you know what? No, we're too old.
Like that's what
was
brought
also
up.
my kids.
We also brought up AWOL, right? Like I think I saw a really good view of both of those events. AWOL is on Wednesdays. It's Swiss. It goes 6 full rounds. It's not best of 3, but it is a much fuller, longer event. That took roughly 3 hours. Our events on Tuesdays, the whole thing was done in under 2.
Yep, and that is one thing I wanted to note. So shout out to Simon. I think what I will say to people if they come to me and they're like, "Oh, I want best of 3," I'll point them to AWOL and be like, "Here you go."
Yeah.
So, and having those 2 options and also technically not competing with each other, I think gives a lot of options.
There's a lot of
quick question. You don't got to be. This is all online, correct?
Yep.
So you don't have to be from Texas to join these.
No.
It is Central Timed, I'm assuming.
Yeah, 6 p.m. Central Time.
Material, we might actually need to consider something with the name of our server. I don't know. I think we're going to get a lot of people in it at some point.
I think we're going to grow very rapidly.
Even if you're not Central, or even if you're not from Texas, you can join these events.
Yes. For
sure. So make sure I will put something in our Discord for this. It probably is already there, to be honest with you. Down in our Altered section. Believe it or not, we do have an Altered section.
I know. I think I made it.
You probably did. There's a lot of stuff down there going on right now. And then just real quick, because I know a lot of people are going to have questions still. Like, again, this is going up on mainly a Keyforge related show. What is your, okay, so not for the tournaments, but let's say I want to get into this game and I'm like, man, I want to get competitive. The biggest thing for a person is always, always, always going to be, what is the entry barrier? What does that dollar amount look like to me?
Actually pretty low. Like if I wanted to build a meta deck comparable to, because I'm the constructor, right? Like
hold on, let me ask the winner. Hey Zach.
Okay, no, you can go. You can. No, it's fine. It's fine. So one thing that I don't like to do is construct decks. I like to play games, which is why I like Keyforge so much. So I will defer to Big Z, who helped construct the deck.
Yeah.
All right, Big Z. How much did Zach's deck cost?
Well, honestly, we do have the cards that are the best cards in it as far as the uniques that are running. We opened those. So just in the natural process of opening, but let's say I didn't open any packs and I literally just wanted to buy Zach's deck, or something really, really close to it. The commons in the decks are basically free. There's no common in this game that even costs $1. You get a ton of them.
Yeah, let's we could assign a price to it though, right? Because we know that like if you buy no packs, you only want to buy your commons.
So let's say a quarter. You need 21 of them.
Yep,
It's $5, $5.25. You have $5.
Easy
there.
math.
Yeah. So the rares in this game are roughly $2 to $3 a piece. Except Robinhood does cost more even at the rare slot. So let's say you need 12 rares times 3. That's 36. So that's 41. You could
15
probably
rares.
well, but Robin costs more.
Yeah, he's doing bonus.
Oh yeah.
My bad.
Robinhood
Okay.
as a rare. You could probably find it for 10, but let's say I wanted to buy this damn deck right now. You've offered somebody 15, you'll get 3. That's 45. Then you have three uniques. Now, before I go on to what uniques can cost anywhere from the cheapest general unique you can buy is 15 all the way up to 600. But even if I just bought 3 decent Ortis uniques, because they're Ortis, at 15 each, that gives me only $45 more. That's $131. I promise you, I can win in an event with a deck that costs $131 right now.
So basically, the short and skinny, and I just want to put this out there for a lot of people, under $200, you're competitive.
Garrett, yes. I
100%.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
The other thing about Altered and the huge digital aspect, and you kind of touched on it, is commons really are kind of free, because if you join a good community and you're like, hey, I need this, we're going to help you out. Yeah. And we do is we say, what's your account on Altered?
Yeah,
okay,
here
you go.
Commons
Send
are
it
as
straight
literally
over.
common as tokens in Fab or land or mana in Magic.
And you don't even have to live near the person to get
No.
it. So.
And just like in any of those games, they're also the most common part of your deck, right? Like they're a huge portion of the cards that you need to put together to play anything. And I've got a whole row of them that sits in my box unscanned, just ready to give to people that need them.
So do we. Yep.
Yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
So going off the the barrier of entry or point of entry a little bit here on cost, I do want to touch on what Eric, the CMO, said today as well during the AMA. With the second set coming out on January 31st, the set will be roughly 55% smaller than the current core set. Now, the breakdown roughly is in one display, which is one box. You'll get an entire play set of commons already, and they haven't fully. Yeah, it's all there. And then to get an entire collection, a full play set of everything, obviously minus uniques, but a full play set of everything, roughly 3 to 4 displays. That is a tremendously low amount compared to Magic, compared to One Piece, compared to Lorcana, compared to SWU. This is probably the lowest.
If you're saying you only need to buy 3 displays to have 3 of every rare,
yes,
that's
to be fair
crazy.
though. To be fair, there are fewer cards in the second set than there were in this set. He also mentioned to get a full set of all the rares, you would need to open about 8 to 9 displays of this first set.
Of the first set, yes. And so continuously, we're looking forward now to the next set.
I just want to put this in. The first set is massive.
Yes,
it is huge.
Yeah. There are tons of characters. There are tons of stories. There are lots of lines of construction to develop for each faction.
And the math that we're throwing out there right now in terms of like putting together a full play set, like needing to buy 9 displays, right? That's if you need a full play set of every single rare across every faction. If you're only playing one faction, you've got plenty to trade people.
I'm poking around on the website, just kind of looking at stuff. There are 30 pages, and each page has about 36 cards. So that's a lot. You can do the math. It's a bunch.
Well, yeah. All right.
But
thank you for Kohlrabi breaking down the Texas Tuesdays events. I did want to go through each of us just to talk about what faction we play in card before Wookie closes us out. Just to kind of give our audience what we're playing on now. This is definitely going to change as we go along. Zach, go ahead. What is your favorite faction and favorite card right now?
Oh boy, favorite faction? Oof, I don't know. There's so many. No, Ortis is the one that I would always go to. One, it was the one that I had looked at, and thematically, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
As far as like the law-abiding order, all that stuff, it just fits right into my personality.
I can attest to that. When we kickstarted this game, he was saying Ortis looked fun before having ever played anything. This is not lies.
And the first starter deck that I played was Sigismar, and it just smashes. So
Yeah, it did.
as far as my favorite card, it's kind of silly.
Do it.
I have two. I have the obvious one. It's Robin Hood, right? Like it's too powerful. It's too oppressive. Making your cards or your characters, whichever one it is, makes them cost more. We pulled an amazing, unique one. Not as amazing as draw 3 cards every dusk, but it's still pretty good. I would have to say that my second favorite card, though, it's really close to Robin Hood, is the Waru hero himself. Like the ability just to like it's
Yeah,
super
it's
strong as far
clever.
as it's sleeping your units for just the stats don't count, but the effects do. Like that is so big, so big. So that's my favorite card, favorite faction.
So you're a monster then.
I really am, and yeah.
He's like a dream demon. He's like Freddy Krueger. Ogre, talk to us.
Okay. I am a little bit closer to Z in terms of I'm a bit of a nomad. Like the way that I interact with these games is I like to roam around. I like to build and play in every faction and everything else. Currently, I've decided that with this season of BGA, I'm sticking in Axiom, which is
Yeah.
the faction that's mostly about like engineering and technology, and it has a lot of very cool like we've got Dr. Frankenstein in our faction, and that's cool to me.
Yeah.
The deck specifically, I'm playing a lot of Traced because I think he's the coolest character that that we got with the first 3. And I think honestly, I'm gonna put. Actually, I'm gonna copy Zach. I'm gonna say he's my favorite hero. Right? Zach got 2 cards.
Yeah, I did.
Um,
I cheated.
And my favorite card in the faction, to surprise absolutely no one that plays the game, is the Bravos Haven, which is a card that we stole from Bravos.
Yeah, you did.
But that turns on every single card in our faction, and it's. I think we saw some numbers recently where the Bravos Haven in Axiom is literally the most played card across all games that include an Axiom deck on the other platform, which is Altered. The creator was talking about it. That's hilarious to me, but it also makes perfect sense.
It's also the most expensive rare in the game. It outpaces Robin Hood as far as the value.
Is that true?
Yeah, like everywhere I look, like it's sold out on the one place right now you can buy stuff online. And then in the boards, the one like Discord place that is an absolute nightmare. I hate that thing. You can buy Robin around 10 to 12. The Havens are like 15.
Holy
Yeah, the Havens
cow!
are up there. The Havens are expensive.
Well,
That's why I was trying to figure out if you gave it to Dexter or not. I was like, this
wondering. I
thing
was
you're
so
trying to
confused.
this thing you're trying to give back to me that
I didn't. First of all, like I
know you didn't know.
I traded on the cheap for mine.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
well, it's a great card.
Yeah.
Turns
no,
out.
it is. Well, that whole deck doesn't work without it, right? Like that is the
well,
deck.
You could almost argue that whole faction at the moment, but
Well, they are the worst without it.
oh, oof.
It's true. You got no argument. Oh wait. Yeah, you joined us, Material.
Yeah, so I joined a little late. I am one of the Discord mods in the official Discord. I got picked up and I interviewed with Loki and ran through the whole thing. I got a little blurb on the main page now. But I kind of went into it a little bit on there during my profile, but I'm running Lyra. It's a fun deck. It's different. It's not your typical deck that you would see in any other game, really. RNG isn't my most favorite thing because RNGs can be good to you and can be really bad.
Yeah.
And so, but at the end of the day, like I said, if you have your permanent out there, your landmark, you're pretty much good to go. My favorite card right now is actually I pulled a unique Hydrocana, but I also run the rare version because it's a must deal with target. It's eternal, so it stays on the board. It's a big stat stick, but
Yeah,
in
I'm
a Lyra
terrified of
deck,
that card.
yeah, and in a Lyra deck, I've gotten plus 24, plus 30 on it.
Yep.
It's by itself on one side. It doesn't matter how many Orders tokens you put out there. I am going to get 30, 40 points. And so at the end of the day, that card is my win con in my deck. I did pull a unique one. It's pretty insane because it's eternal, and then as long as I have one boost on it, I roll a dice, and that's how many boosts I get every single turn.
That's
It's
funny.
Sheesh.
That's pretty cool. That is really
yeah.
Which again, he already mentioned that he's playing the
Roll
dice
two dice,
fixing
yeah.
Bastion.
permanent. So
Bastion to dice six.
Well, it's
roll 2, keep the
Bastion
biggest
and
number.
well, it's also the rare mint whatever it's called, Martingale.
Oh, Martingale, yeah, Martingale.
Yeah.
You can get it on the cheap if you don't see
Yep.
your permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Turns out being able to roll +6 on a thing, pretty good.
Yeah,
Pretty good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So
all right.
that's kind of why I like it. That's my win con. I got to go with that one.
And it's a dragon.
Yeah, it's a freaking green dragon.
I'm next here. My favorite faction isn't actually great. I like Bravos a lot. I do like where they were going with 2 out of the 3 heroes. I like a lot of the design of the cards. It is kind of rough in the current meta right now, but I do like the way it is structured. I hope to see some more support for it moving forward into the next sets. I just really think that there's a lot of space there for them to work with. And my favorite card in it is actually not like the greatest. It's not the win con for the set or anything. I love Tiny Jin. I like all. I think all 3 versions of Tiny Jin are playable. Like you can play the common in different. You can play the common in the Basira deck. You can play the rare. Plays really well into Kojo or Buddha, whatever. The one with the dog, and the
Kojo.
yeah, Kojo.
I don't even think it's a
Yeah.
dog.
The boost hero.
It's a cheetah. It's
It
a
is.
fire cheetah.
Yeah,
It plays well
not a
with the
dog,
boost
the fire
hero.
dog.
It plays well with the fire dog, and if you flip over to the other side, it plays really good with the Muna girl that gets the out of faction that boosts them when you play them.
Tasia or Tasia.
Tasia, yes, Tasia Tiny Jin is amazing.
I see
That is the best case scenario of Tiny Jin.
I see the more things change, the more they stay the same, huh?
Yeah.
So for those of you who don't know, mainly most people in this chat, there was always a inside joke of these cards have art.
Yeah. I haven't actually talked about that here.
Oh,
A lot
it's
of
so
these
great.
people love the
So
art.
great.
I rarely look at the pictures.
There's art on these cards? Oh no, it's just text, man.
They do actually have the good art when I look at it. We haven't ever talked it on this. The biggest thing about the art is they are different in the iterations of them. Like when they go from common to rare to unique, there are differences of the same card, which is actually kind of interesting. They some of them tell a story. Kodama literally tells a story of something being born. Weird. But it's fun to see if you see it. Now a bunch of people are going to go look at this if they've not noticed it. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm looking at Tiny Jin right now, and going from the common to the rare, he gains a cape. The crystal ball in his hand is getting bigger. The flames in his hair are more pronounced.
When you go from Atlas, the common one isn't seasoned, and then if you see the rare one, the season changed and the river's gone or something. It's interesting what they did with it. But yes, that is my favorite card. The card is not phenomenal. It's not going to win you games or anything. I just love the way you play Tiny Jin. I like playing it from the early game hand because it's cheap. Getting the boost to flip the mana later, getting that pump. It's a fun. I think it is a very well designed card. Cole.
Yeah, so now the person that's going to talk about themes and art, and that's what I play around.
Yep.
So first and foremost, always Muna. If people recognize my full name, Kohlrabi, It's a vegetable. Plants are life. So my favorite hero is actually Rin and Orchid, and I think they are a lot of fun to play. And I will always have Muna being my favorite faction. But I am playing a deck right now I'm calling Demon Mode, which is Basira Bravos, and I'm trying to get it to work. So my favorite card right now is actually Bravos Blade Dancer,
Yep, fun card.
specifically
that's a
the
good card.
rare.
Yep.
Yeah, if you look at the rare versus the common, the rare is just the art is so beautiful. The like ethereal, hot swords and everything. It's great. It's a really good looking card. And looking at it now, I think I just realized I don't have any any rare blade dancers, so I really need those as well. Because not only is the art amazing, the card text is amazing as well.
Yes.
So
Yep.
That's
Yeah,
another
yeah.
one. That's another one that tells a cool story as well. Like the Blade Dancer in the common, like hasn't started to power up her swords yet, and then in the rare powers them up. And then if you get a unique Blade Dancer, which reminded me to show you mine so that I can make you jealous, Cole.
yeah, I've seen it.
She I think slays the creature that is stalking her in the background of the other two cards mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Ooh, that's nice. Yeah, that's nice.
Well, and it's fully lit on flames. Yeah.
Yep, it's some weird like shadow snake demon or something, and someone in the I can't remember if it was our Discord or the main Alter
It was
Discord.
ours.
Yeah, they were like, I think this is the only card that has blatant violence, and I was like, you might be right.
Kraken's Wrath.
Are there people getting hurt in?
Look, zoom in on those tentacles when you get a chance.
All right, doing it right now. But yeah, Muna forever. But Demon Mode is coming for you, and I like playing weird stuff and themes, and my win record just about everywhere will prove that.
All right. Wookie.
Yeah.
I know you've only toe dipped. Do any of these factions sound appealing to you?
Like I said,
what's floating your boat?
When I bought into the game, I bought Navenka and Blotch, right? I'm pretty sure that's it. It rolls dice. It just does. I had fun with it when I played Domino with it. And it's something that interests me. Now looking at some of the cards, Fen and Crowbar are definitely something I want to look into. Once I get more accustomed to the game, I mean, you guys are running online stuff. Maybe I pop in. I don't have much of a collection at the current time because stores in Wisconsin don't really have it.
Luckily, you have some friends that have cards ready to give you.
So you guys
let
are
us
in a
know.
very unique situation. Like, I'm very much in. I mean, I am on their like store locator. And it looks like only one store anywhere near anywhere near me is touching this game right now.
Yeah. So we should probably, because I'm sure some of your listeners won't have like gone out and listened to the AMA today. That is something they specifically like acknowledged and were vocal about, is that they realized that the adoption in other parts of the world is crazy. Like a lot of the European countries that have gotten involved are like it's selling like hotcakes. It's doing very
Sold
well.
out.
Yep,
Yeah,
sold out in
at the
France,
distributor level,
Spain, and Italy. I think at stores. It's sold out at stores in France, Spain, and Italy.
On the American front, it's been a little bit slower, but they did own up to that, and they said, that they're right now they're looking at what sort of push they can make to sort of improve the marketing here to get more people involved and aware, both in terms of like what can be done online with the tools that we've already been talking about this episode, and what they can do to make an impact in stores and at the LGS level, so that. Because the game is fantastic. You just have to get it in front of people, and then it wins them over without you doing any additional work.
I have an idea. if anyone from Equinox or Asmodee is listening, hire me as the American community manager.
They don't listen to this. They don't listen to this show. That's one thing
I'm
you're
gonna
gonna learn
send it
real quick.
directly to
Asmodee
Loki.
hates us. Well, maybe not Asmodee.
No,
Can I-
Asmodee doesn't
can I
know
jump
who
in
we
real
are,
quick?
Loki.
So today, actually, during the AMA, Eric, he did say that they will be sectioning off pieces of the US, as in like West Coast, East Coast, Midwest, whatever. And they're gonna start looking into having point people per region to help expand and let them know what their region is looking for and needing as far as expansion is concerned. So they are looking into, Cole, into tapping the community for basically being a liaison for them for that region. So it could happen.
Your time is now,
missed
my friend.
that. Yeah, I missed that part. I'm gonna see you at PAX Unplugged, Loki, and we're gonna have words again. So
I mean, you did start off by asking which character drinks whole milk on their Ask Me Anything, and yeah, that didn't seem to.
I guess that's not a very a very meme based thing in France, because
No, it did not.
they did not
carry
get
over.
the joke. But it was a very fun conversation in the main Discord. So
Because what's more funny about that is I'm gonna assume in France milk is just milk. Like I'm gonna assume
They
they
also
don't have
don't use the gallon.
multiple varieties. Unlike the US, we like to convolute things. So they're just like, what do you mean? What is this whole milk you speak of?
I am pretty sure, unless I heard Loki incorrectly, he said, "Oh, that's Kohlrabi. We should have left him at Gen Con." So they know who I am.
Listen,
and,
you're fitting right here. You're fitting in real well on the AC staff because FFG hates us, which is part of Asmodee. I don't know if FFG has a lot to do with this or if it's mainly Asmodee. I don't know who's taking control of it in the North America region because that's a whole Asmodee debacle. FFG hates us a lot, like a lot.
Well,
They probably don't even remember us.
We're still you know what? Staff has really rolled over.
Yeah.
Most of the FFG staff.
We're starting fresh, Wookie.
We're starting fresh.
This is altered corner. We're altering our perspective
and
moving forward.
And how long
Wookie,
will it be before we screw this up? Is the main question.
To be decided.
TBD. We'll find out later.
It is very interesting about, like you were talking about, the regions for the US. Even if you just look on the Altered website, just for the stores or the events, it is, and they even said this, I think, in the Ask AMA, like it's heavily or more invested in like the East Coast, and you can see like from Texas eastward straight up, like that's where 60%, 70% of the stores are popping up. You have a few out in California, San Francisco. You have some down in the LA and San Diego, and then you have a few up in Washington. Other than that, it's very barren to the west.
Yeah, so. I think most of the movement that we've seen so far, even here in Texas, it's been kind of grassroots. Like it started off with Mercurial and Z, and then Cole kind of came on board and started really pushing and connecting people as well. But it was just people in the community like bugging stores and saying, "Hey, we really want to play this game.
Put in the time." Yep.
So much like anything else, I'm just looking at my map. There are a total of 4 stores in all of Wisconsin that are doing anything with this game at the current time. 2 of them are in Madison. I am going to assume, and that's about an hour and a half away from me. And if I'm right, I am incorrect. No, I thought it was.
There are 7 stores in Wisconsin, Wookie.
Huh?
If you go to the stores instead of the events, there are 7 stores.
I only see 4.
I see 7.
Oh.
All right, guys.
You're gonna have to tell me where they are. There's one.
We'll help Wookie after show.
There's one that's close to me, and then there's one that's again about an hour away. So, depending on what days they do things, we'll see. And then Zach can teach me how to read a map here in about 10 minutes. So, with that, I'm here for you.
Wyoming, South Dakota, like some of these states have absolutely nothing. So yeah.
Well, they also have no people in them.
They don't live there. Nobody.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, there's like
I've got a brother in Wyoming. Thank you very much.
he's one of what 29
Like 3?
people that live there. Like,
I won't make any states hate me during episode 1. I'll save that for 3 or 4.
It's all right. I have a whole country that hates me, so we're it's all right. We're fine here. But with that being said, I think this is where we're gonna cut it off here, and we will see y'all next week.
Okay, let's get it. I've been on a mission like totally spice. My baddie, she bad, but she totally nice. Nu så blue en toes wil ik white. Ik kom niet met jou, dat is zo voor mijn lijk. He knew it for sure, but he left with a why. Yeah, we live, but we destined to die. En je chill it on me, but I'm ending a lie. I'm a lie. En ik voel me net Memphis de paai. En ik jag op de goed in de scene. Moest eigenlijk rennen, we lopen misschien. En ik wil niet eens kijken, mijn ogen die zien. En ze reden niet genoeg dat ik kopen we 10. Hoef in de bean. Hier co-star. I got 5 on my name, I got no star. Come to me just to see how my shows are. They said that I couldn't do it.